Okay, I was trying to talk and then I got cut off. But I was trying to say that I think things are going to get much worse in this country. It is now beginning of July 2024. Um, I think it's going to be to a stage where basically everybody doesn't have enough money. There's going to be a lot of job losses. Basically, most of us are going to be very financially tight. We're going to have nothing to give to anybody. We're going to nothing extra. Um, we're going to lose a lot of our fancy gadgets, our vehicles and other things because a lot of these things are covered with debt. So, and they can take vehicles away. Like if you miss your deadline after enough time, they will take your vehicle away. Uh, And even let's say if you have your vehicle already, you bought it and everything, well, there's still maintenance to deal with. There's still, there's other things that can occur that will make it so you essentially don't have one. It's not going to be usable. Uh, you might not have the money for gas, for insurance, and all that kind of stuff. So I think folks are going to have to learn how to live without having a vehicle. And I know after many years of not having one, how difficult life is. And, every little thing is very difficult. You're so limited when it comes to jobs. Uh, every little thing takes so much time and energy. It's emotionally exhausting because you're dealing with all these strangers and noises and all this kind of stuff because every time you need something, you have to go and get it yourself, uh, vast majority of the time. Um, it's just a stressful way to live. And in some ways, it's wow, it's less stressful to just have things delivered, but you can't do that because all these things cost money. A lot of these delivery services, they charge fees and all that. So you might be so broke that you don't got the money. Um, I'm just trying to, make it obvious. What I'm trying to say is that, uh, you can't count on neighbors. Your neighbors from in most of America, they're not going to do anything for you. To be honest, in your life, you could just imagine they don't exist because that's how they're going to behave. And if you do dare to ask for stuff, you're going to be getting negativity, slander, harassment, God knows what else. So it's a really negative situation to be in to have to ask others, even your neighbors, you think that they're safe and everything. Uh, but it's just, yeah, they're not. So, and I think it's going to be your neighbors who are going to, turn you in and tell your business and everything like that. Um, but across the last few years, I would say, I don't know, maybe I can count on both hands the amount of, definitely the amount of individuals, but in general, the amount of times anybody has, you know, lend a hand. I noticed a big difference in 2024. I can hardly find anybody who's willing to do anything, give their time, groceries, whatever. Um, I mean, it gets so bad that it's hard to, even if you need to go to the food bank, it's hard to find somebody who will take you. So I think some folks are thinking like, oh, if things go down, if things get really bad, well, we're all gonna come together, and you can go to your neighbors and we'll figure it out as a neighborhood or a town or whatever. I don't think that's going to occur. I highly doubt it because I see how folks are reacting, and things haven't even, they're not at their worst. So it's just been very hard getting others to lend a hand, even neighbors. And I've gotten some nasty, nasty comments from them. You know, certain individuals have, deceived me. They would befriend me and then, and this occurred several times. They would befriend me and then deceive me. Uh, and it was really hard to find anybody who would, do me the smallest of favors, whether that's getting groceries or taking me somewhere, even taking me to an interview. Uh, I don't know. I was very naive, and I thought in the beginning folks would kind of understand my situation, and they would just, as I said, with the level of affluence that there is, I thought, of course there's going to be a few individuals who will make sure that I've got, my necessities, and I thought they would make sure I was good for at least a little bit while I got back on my feet. But that didn't occur whatsoever. There was a few individuals who did do a favor for me here or there. There was one individual that was fairly consistent, for a stranger, uh, but still, a lot of the times she wasn't available and she wasn't willing to change her schedule. Well, she was to an extent, but I don't know. I just thought I would have somebody, for instance, who would consistently, or several individuals, check in on me. Like, I think throughout all the years, nobody has even once checked on me, said, hey, is everything okay? Do you need anything? Blah, blah, blah. Nobody, not a single individual. I've always had to ask or message or whatever, first, and then, occasionally maybe somebody would react. I've had individuals many times where they said, oh, what can I do for you? I'd love to do blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Hours go by, days, weeks. Do they do anything? Absolutely not. Just total silence. Uh, um, like today it was quite warm. I think it was about 100 degrees. I had to walk down, get what I needed. It was really tough because I kind of overbought, and I could have, if I really had to, I guess maybe I could have carried everything home, but it would have been a big hassle. So I really needed somebody to grab the stuff with me, and or basically carry the bring the stuff to my home somehow, uh, with my involvement or without. And luckily, like in these kind of situations, sort of last minute emergency situations, the only individuals who would sometimes answer my request were family members. No one else even bothered. And the scorching heat. So it didn't really matter the circumstances. Any circumstance you can think of, neighbors didn't give a damn. Nobody did, besides maybe family and occasionally neighbors, but definitely neighbors don't do anything last minute. You know, it's quite rare where they'll do something last minute, um, which I guess is kind of fair, but I don't know. I just thought I would have a few individuals who are just really active for at least a little bit, until I gain some sort of. That's why it's been really hard to move forward. It's like I move forward, I move back, move forward, back, you know, and sometimes very much so back. So I'm always kind of behind. Uh, it's just been a very exhausting last few years. And I think I could have moved forward, like if there would be just someone who was consistent, you know, for at least a few months, I could have moved forward, save some money, get a used vehicle, something like that, or do something that would move me forward. But I can't find anybody. They might do one thing and be, sort of consistent. Like there's this one individual, only one, who she would, a few times a week for about a month, 2 months maybe, she would, take me home after my job, um, and occasionally take me here or there or whatever. But after a month, 2 months, she didn't give me a ride home. You know, so after a while, she wasn't consistent. Relatively short time, and it just became less like. I think it was almost every day in the beginning. Then it was a few times a week. Then less, until eventually there was some kind of excuse, all these reasons about why she couldn't, you know. But for me in the beginning, I thought, surely there would be one individual, maybe for instance, who would, check in on me and see if I had enough food and, take me to the food bank consistently. Like, I think I can go like twice a month max. So at least offer. Uh, and there is one about, I think, 20 minutes away. So it's not like a huge time commitment. Uh, I thought I would have someone who would do that, or a few individuals. For instance, getting me to my job, I thought there would be a few individuals uh, who would consistently do that as long as I stick to it, as long as I could coordinate with their schedule to a degree. Um, I thought maybe I'd find somebody else who'd give me like used clothing, or take me somewhere where they give them out. I thought there would be like a whole small network. And that's really what you need. Otherwise, you're going to consistently be stuck. Eventually, you'll get into debt because you have to cover all these costs since you don't have, for instance, a vehicle. You don't have all these things. So, money goes down the drain. Uh, and it's a constant battle. You can't move forward. You just can't. Uh, so, I guess a silver lining, maybe. I'm not incredibly confident, but maybe. Eventually in America, we're going to see these communities form when things get really bad. But see, I think things are going to get bad, like, so either really quickly or definitely it's going to feel like all of a sudden. So I think a lot of Americans are not going to have taken the action early enough. So, everybody's like scrambling and everybody's going to lose stuff like around the same time. So, therefore, the individuals who, for instance, do have a job, they do have a vehicle, that kind of thing, it's going to be a very small minority of individuals. So, of course, as human nature, they're going to take advantage of the fact and try to create the best life for themselves. So, are they going to go around giving folks, free rides and stuff like that? I doubt it. I think they might be like, they're definitely going to charge, sort of like a business. Uh, and it's not going to be anywhere close to affordable. So, with these kind of networks that take a lot of energy, maybe money, so on. Uh, it takes time to build. And I don't think enough Americans are going to take that time to where they're going to make themselves useful to their future and the future of others. And I tried, and a few others too. They've tried to, innovate and create, new institutions that would go to serve individuals in need who are losing things. But unfortunately, when you've got money, you've got influence. And that's definitely the case where I am. So, to be quite frank, certain folks have made it very clear that they do not want things like affordable housing. They don't want any kind of services here. They made it clear that to live here, to be uh, welcomed into the town, you have to have money and you have to be, self sufficient and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, we don't want you. That's saying it very nicely. Um, so, anytime somebody tries to create these kind of initiatives, what do they get? They get harassment, they get lies said about them. You know, certain folks really try to make it very difficult, you know. So, there's folks who have tried, like myself, and others who are, more qualified, but we just can't get anywhere. So, I don't know. This is all just to say that uh, individuals aren't going to do anything for us, unfortunately. We're really on our own. I've seen it firsthand, I've dealt with it firsthand. Nobody was there for me consistently in any kind of way. Not even, to be honest. I mean, my family, certain family member, has let me live with them hardly. But anything else, even family, has not been there for me consistently. Uh, Not at all. So, yeah, nobody has been there for me consistently. And lately, there were a few times where, as I said, I needed to, I'm a female. I made that clear, in my 20s. So, I mean, you could argue that's kind of somebody who might be vulnerable, right? In certain situations. So, you know, you would think that a quote unquote safe town that has money, you would think they would not, you know, you would think they would give a damn about somebody who, like walking a lot in the heat and, walking home at night. You would think somebody would offer. Not a single one did. And this was this year, like within the today, and then there was another time at least within the last few months. In some areas, it's really not safe for women to be walking alone for anybody, but so, basic thing like that, nobody was willing. Uh, and, there were days when I would eat a meal a day, or maybe even less than that, because I didn't know how or when I would be getting some extra food. So, I did deal with food insecurity. Did anybody come to my aid? No. Well, actually, that's a lie. Most of the time. Most of the time, did anyone come to my aid? No. If I was lucky, maybe I could find somebody about once a month, once every 2 months, who would give me like maybe a bag of stuff, maybe 2 bags. So that would last maybe a week, 2 weeks. Um, it's been months since anybody has offered to take me to the food bank, even though there were several individuals who knew about the food insecurity. So it's not like they didn't know. You know, that's kind of the thing that stuck with me, is that even when folks know that you're in this kind of situation, they still don't give a damn. So you're gonna